Welcome to With Face TV. You're watching special talk show with Thuy Nhung. Today I will introduce you with one of the very successful businessmen and very famous. He is a vice president, director of Bun Raw Brewery and also a CEO of Singha company. This company is a very famous brand name for beers in Thailand. Please welcome Mr. Thutinan Nick Bohomkadi. Sawadika, right? It's very nice to see you again today in my studio.
Nice to be here.
Yes. I remember back then I met you the first time when I was doing reporting in LA at Songkran Festival.
Right.
And it was 7 years ago. It was a very long time.
Exactly this weekend, I think.
Yes, I think so.
Right.
I was impressed by you and, of course, impressed by Singha beers.
Right.
I only have a very short interview with you back then, so I always want to bring you back in my studio and have a longer interview so that people can know about you and about Singha.
Sure.
So how are you doing today?
Good. Glad to be here. And actually, I'm on holiday because of the Songkran Festival. So. But anyway.
Well, 7 years mean seeing you again. You still look the same, very handsome.
Likewise, you do too.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I want to thanks you to come here and share with me, with my audience about your story about Singha. From what I have known, Singha is the family business.
It's still a family business. It was started by my grandfather. I'm therefore third generation. As of now, the third generation is in the process of really transferring
to the fourth
generation. So there are quite a few capable fourth generations coming up in the business. We are no longer just a beer company. I think for the past 10 years, we've been looking to diversify into other alcoholic beverages.
So you diversify into many other business now?
We have done so. Let me go back and explain a little bit. In Thailand, where obviously we're still number one in terms of market share of the beer, we see that it's reaching near saturation point for the consumption of beer due to many reasons. I think the per capita consumption is already high. I think in Thailand it's about 36 liters per person per year. That's high. Given we have a very high tax structure for alcoholic products, and we're also an aging economy. You know, even back about 10 years ago, we see that the domestic beer market is going to slow down. So two things that we did is, two directions is trying to diversify into a non-alcohol business domestically and internationally. And also for the beer, we think there's still potential for our products to go internationally. But right now we're basically concentrating in the ASEAN area. Well, actually, what they call CLMV, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, and Myanmar.
It's kind of like Southeast Asia.
Yeah, the upper part of Southeast Asia.
Okay.
Yeah, because the lower part is a lot different in terms of culture and everything else. So we feel that Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar, and Vietnam have similarity in terms of culture.
Well, now I know that you're the third generation of this company, but let's go back a little bit. How and who was the first founder of your company?
Okay, my grandfather. To go back is interesting start. You know, he was trained as a teacher. You know, and he taught. He worked for the government at that time, and because of his English capability, he quit the job and worked for an export European companies, and I think that's where he started making some serious, income, and then he left the company and started a boat ferries across. If you know Bangkok, divided with a river in the middle. So at that time there were no bridges between the two cities. So he started this ferry boat crossing them, and then he did it really well. And then the day that the government announced that they're going to start building the first bridge across these two pieces of land, he knew that his days as a ferry operator were up. So he sold the business, he took the money, and he traveled through. In fact, he went to Vietnam.
Really?
He went to Vietnam and eventually he ended up in Europe. And at that time, there was some import beer in Thailand. This was back before World War II. He decided while he was traveling through Europe that he wants to start a brewery making beer in Thailand. So, he invests his savings and he brought in what they call brewmasters from Germany. And, he came back, found investors and started the first locally produced beer in Thailand. And the story has it that he was met with some difficulty because the importer, at that time there were 3 import beers, if I remember correctly, Carlsberg, Sapporo and something else. They were already there as an import. And obviously, they saw him as a threat, and they did there was a lot of price war. Again, this was before, I think this was about 1930, around there. And it got to the point where then, at that time, the royal family, who partially invest into the company, and also saw that, he sees that at that time, businesses in Thailand were in the hands of foreigners. Thai were just agricultural people, royal household, they said the government should support. And they did. So they rejiggled the tax structure favoring the locally produced beer, with import duties for the imports. And that's how we managed to just really...
Did your grandpa choose Singha name or?
Yes, another interesting story. At that time, there weren't these sophisticated market research like we have today, right? So what he did was he brewed about 5 or 6 different types of beer. The dark beer, Weizen beer, wheat beer, lager, pilsner, just different types of beer. And then he sells them all. And 3 years later, what sold the most, what fit into the Thai taste profile, luckily was Singha. So he faded out the rest and he kept this particular brand. And it's a
Is Singha meaning anything?
It's a mythical lion. It's a mythical lion, it's
talk about the lion. I thought this is like royal people in Thailand can use this only. How can you use that?
This one is just a mythical lion. This is okay, but this is a royal Garuda. Up here, royal Garuda is an emblem given by the king to certain companies or businesses that he thinks that represent the country well. Kind of like what the Queen of England bestowed on some of the, the old companies or what in England, okay, so this is a royal Garuda, so we proudly, not everybody has it.
Right.
And this one, so you're quite honored to have that.
It's very interesting though.
Right.
Well, anyway, so Singha started by your grandpa first.
That's right.
As a local business.
Yeah.
And now it's become international business. So who started the international business, like your dad or you?
No, I think it was done with my cousins, one of my elder cousins. It actually naturally evolved because during the Vietnam War, many GIs spent their R&R in Thailand. So they were familiar with our beer. And when they came, they moved back, they demanded to have that beer. And of course, many of them married Thais and, while they were in the service and they brought back. So a lot of Thais start migrating. So they start Thai restaurant and they start importing, blah, blah, blah. So that's how it really got started, by GIs. And that's to America. And then obviously it slowly evolved. We think Singha itself is an internationally recognized brand of beer. So right now, I think we're available in about 49 countries around the world. But obviously, places like the developed market, like the UK, US, Japan, you have so many brands of beer. So many types. The volume is not that big, but. Again, we see a lot of potential in places like the ASEAN, Southeast Asia. We're still
proud of your brand because this is represents for the Asian beers. And
Thank you.
It's not a lot of people can do that though.
Thank you.
I have another curious question that how Thailand people raising up children, especially with your grandpa, your dad, your family, how did they teach you when you was young to become such a successful businessman now?
I wouldn't call myself a successful businessman. I think what I was born after my grandfather passed away, so I never knew him. But my father, what they instilled in me and what my uncle instilled in my cousins, the family, the third generation, is the pride. First of all, we take great pride in developing good quality product. I think it sounds like a marketing pitch, but it's not. It's just like, it's real. It's, we said we're not going to do anything which is substandard or what. Everything has to be high premium, high quality, high standard, and you have to be proud of your family. Therefore, it will reflect your actions.
Right.
Whatever you do, you have to think of the family and the company. What my grandfather did, so it instilled the responsibility what we have for the family and the products. The rest is just like in my case, my father didn't even send. In my cousin's case, they all got sent to Germany. Oh. At that time, it was very production lead. So again, back to quality. So they said, okay, the family member better know how to make good beer. So 3 of them were sent to Germany, whether they're engineer, they're brewmaster, blah, blah, blah. I was the only one who wasn't sent. I'm a bit younger than the rest of my cousins. And they sent me straight to the States. So
really?
I came here when I was 13, and I knew I wasn't going to be in the production.
Wow.
I will drink, but I will make it, I'll drink. And I took up finance, blah, 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 so.
Finance?
Mm-hmm, so.
A different major, not making beers.
No, never. Not everyone. You don't need to. Everybody make beer. So, I even personally, I wasn't even keen in the beginning to go back to the family business. Personally, I thought there are pros and cons in family business. I'm sure a lot of Asians do family business, so you kind of know. I thought there would be a lot of conflict that stem from business would lead to conflict within the family,
right.
Especially with my dad. So when I was at BU, Boston University, I actually was thinking not going there. And in fact, after I graduated, I went to work in a bank in New York City.
Wow.
So, I had quite a conflict with my dad, not going back to work. But eventually, I said, okay, I'll move back. But because I spent over 12 years in the States, it was like moving to a new city. It's like, wow. So it was tough getting reacclimated.
Well, with Asians, not a lot of people like to do business with the family just because of conflicts. Yeah.
I know, especially younger generation, you feel like, okay, well,
you
why can't I
do your own thing?
Yeah, right. So that's how I felt. But my father pulled an ultimatum. He said, "You're my only son, and I want to start retiring. I want to start enjoying life." So eventually,
So now let's talk about the 4th generation. So how's your son's reaction with you now?
No, again, my son, since he was young, I never said that he will be in business. I have 3 children, two girls and 1 boy. And I never told them that they would work. I let them make their choice freely. Like my eldest daughter, she's into politics, so she's a full-time politician,
wow.
Totally outside of business line, right? And my son, after he graduated, he joined the Army. He graduated from USF, University of San Francisco, and then he went to enroll in the Sandhurst Military College, which is an English military college, equivalent to West Point. So he was there. He got commissioned as officer. He went back to serve in the country, and he was there. He served in the Army for like 3-something years, and he just quit. He just left, and now he's joining the business. I didn't force him. I didn't pressure him at all. I said, "Up to you." And I said, "Yeah." Go.
Wow. So what is your mission and vision in life right now?
In person, when I'm working for the company, I want to be able to grow and sustain and grow the business under the name basically for my grandfather's honor and my uncles and my father. So we'll do whatever it takes that the company continue to prosper. So that's pretty much my goal. I'm not so much into that, okay, I need to make profit so and so, I need to have so much dividend. It's not so much that, but okay, we need to grow business. We need to do it properly. And now at my age, I will soon be not working. How do we prepare the companies and we prepare the people, not only the members of the family, but even the young executives or the generations to the senior level about management, how they can continue to grow the company, etc. So I think that's now I'm looking kind of behind me, the people coming behind me, I'm trying to get them ready more. And obviously we need to prepare the company in strong financial status so that, won't give them problems.
Well, sounds like you are very busy with all the plans.
Yeah, I mean, I reached my retirement age last year and I thought I would take it easy, but I found out that this past year it's like even more responsibility coming my way, because like in the beginning when I said we diversify, and we've gone to so many different things. One of the major pillar of diversification is real estate development, and this company is listed in the stock market, and I'm the chairman of that company. It's coming up to a 4th year. 4 years old money, but we're growing so fast.
Wow.
We have 29 hotels in the UK. We now have 4 hotels in the beach resort in Thailand, not in Bangkok, but our beach resort. We're building a huge project in Maldives. We've just purchased hotels in Mauritius and Fiji. So we're expanding and we're developing a lot of condos, residential, high-rise, low-rise, offices building. So
Sound like you're not gonna get retired anytime soon.
well, I need more qualified, staff, and and we have those, so that makes my life a bit easier.
Well, since you're busy like that, do you have like personal time for yourself? Do you have any hobbies?
I try. Hobbies. I ride motorcycle.
Still do?
Yeah, I ride motorcycle. In fact, next month we're planning a trip to ride in Switzerland with some of my friends. So I still ride. I ski. I was in Denver earlier this year, in Aspen. And I scuba dive. So those are the hobbies, and those takes a lot of time. So I don't have a chance to do as much as I like to. But again, then now that I'm over 60, I'm trying to I need to force myself to make time to go. I just say, okay, put aside, you can I told my son, you guys can, my staff, okay, I'm not going to be here. I'm off.
I've seen Singha sponsor some sport game in the US, and I know that you love sport too. So the next question is, how does sport inspire you in your personal life to business?
I think sports has everything to do what I am today. I think through sports, beside the physical part, it's the mental part. You need to endure tough times. To be good at sports, you need to train.
Right.
And training is never fun, but that's gives you discipline. Sports teach you to follow rules and regulation. There are certain rules and regulation, right? So I think from sports, I get this dedication, bring to business. People who's successful in sports, most of them are gifted, but not all gifted athletes are successful if they don't have the disciplined life.
Right.
Really doing everything in life, not only business, but everything. So.
Well, to me, playing sport, it's only give you a good health at first and keep your momentum only going up.
And a lot of connections, a lot of networking. I think people of all races, nationalities, religions, whatever, once you talk sports, then all those barriers are down, right? You can have all kind of conflict. You see a lot. I think the best example that people use all the time is South Africa. When Nelson Mandela, with the race, the apartheid, it actually broke down the color barriers,
Right.
So you have a lot of these examples across, and so to me, I think, and when I grew up in the States, me being Asian, I was in a boarding school and I was the only Asian student there, right? And I used sports to break the barrier between me and the rest of the American kids, and I became one of them. They don't. And afterward, after a while, there are other Asian students who come in, and they are treated differently because if they're not into sports, they're studious Asian, the stereotyping Asian student, very studious, always in the library, whatever, and they are treated differently. They're
Right.
smart as hell, but they will be, but through sports, you're treated a little bit different. So.
Right.
I enjoy
Well,
that.
it's a very wonderful story, and I love to talk to you today, but we have a limited time.
Sure.
So before we finish, I have one more question left. What do you want to say to the younger generations, especially with Asian people, that they want to start to do the business here in the United States? I know that they're struggling because of the languages and stuff.
Right.
So what should they do to prepare, and what your advice to them?
To me, the first thing is try to assimilate. I think you need to be part of that culture wherever you work, because you need to understand your market. Whatever you do, whatever business you do, most important is you need to understand the market, the customers, right? So let's say you're here, you're an Asian, just graduated from college, and you want to work, but you're selling products or whatever to Americans in general. So you need to understand that. So I think in terms of assimilation or understanding the different cultures, I think that helps a lot. You mentioned language. I think language it's really important. And vice versa. We have, for our distribution, we have a sales team here in the United States. Most of them are Thai. Okay. And when they go into the Thai restaurant, which is our main customers, they're fine. In some area where we don't have the Thai working for us, we use local Americans. And they go in there and the Thai owner wouldn't talk to them. So it's a problem for both. The Thai restaurant owner, whatever, they don't feel comfortable maybe talking to a non-Thai, and or vice versa. It's like, so in fact, there's these kind of problems. I don't think we need to target just the Asian student. I think even for Americans listening out there, if you want to do business in Asia, you can't think American, right? You have to think Asia. I think that's how it works, because I ran the export business for a while, so you need to have that mentality. So I think, and everything, but things are changing really quick, I think, because of this digital revolution, and even for me, it's trying too hard to grab the new idea what can happen, because so many things can happen now. Out of the box, all of a sudden big companies are falling apart, and you have these new startups. So yeah, I mean, the world is your oysters, you can just go out, but try to understand the customers first.
Yes, a lot of young people, including me, try to do startup business.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for coming here, sharing your story and all your advice today. I hope I can see you soon again next time with a longer interview. I wish you with lots of health, lots of luck, and prosperity.
All right, thank you very much.
To the audience, thanks for watching the shows, and I'll see you soon next time.